Previously, in part 1 of the Blair Witch haunting. The Bell family's peaceful life in Tennessee was shattered by whispers in the dark, scratching walls, and a mysterious voice that grew louder every night. Finally, the spirit revealed its name, Kate, and made a chilling prophecy. John Bell will die. This is part 2, where the haunting grows darker, more violent, and the prophecy begins to unfold. Not someday, not years from now. It promised his death was near. Imagine hearing a voice that has slapped your children, choked you in the night, mocked your prayers, and now that same voice calmly says, "You will not live much longer." Do you dismiss it, or do you start counting the days? The Blair Witch had spoken. It had cursed. It had mocked. But now it began to tear the family apart, piece by piece, night after night. John Bell's health grew worse. Neighbors who once saw him as a strong, respected farmer now watched him stumble across his fields like an old man. His lips swelled, his throat closed. At times he collapsed in silence, gasping for air, while the invisible voice laughed in his ear. Imagine watching your father fight for air, while the walls of your home hiss, "He will die soon." Lucy, his wife, cared for him tirelessly, her faith unbroken. The witch spared her, often calling her the purest woman alive, but the same voice that praised her cursed her husband. Why Lucy was spared while John was tormented remains one of the darkest mysteries of the haunting. Betsy Bell, the daughter, suffered most of all. She was slapped in the face by unseen hands, pulled from her bed by her hair, pinched until her skin bruised purple. At school she fainted, claiming the witch's voice followed her even there. Teachers could not explain her bruises. When Betsy became engaged to a young man named Joshua Gardner, the attacks grew worse. The voice shrieked at her in the night, "You will never marry him." Her engagement was broken. The witch got what it wanted. The sons of John Bell also suffered. One described being dragged from his bed, sheets twisted around his neck like a rope. Another woke to find scratches carved across his chest. These weren't just dreams. The marks stayed. Witnesses saw them. And still the crowds came. People traveled from across Tennessee to witness the phenomenon. Ministers, farmers, even skeptics filled the Bell home at night. They sat in the parlor, candles flickering, while the witch's voice filled the room. Some claimed to feel hands brush their hair. Others said the witch whispered their secrets into the dark. The witch mocked, cursed, and laughed, but above all, it attacked. John Bell grew weaker. Betsy grew terrified. The rest of the family lived in constant dread. And yet, the witch's strange obsession continued. It cursed John. It hated Betsy. But it praised Lucy Bell, the mother, as a saint. Why? No one knew. The deep, heavy, suspenseful words are already set. The Blair Witch had tormented the family for years.
It had scratched their walls, slapped their children, mocked their prayers. But now it wanted more. It wanted a life. The voice grew bolder, louder, more direct. And over, it repeated the same chilling promise. John Bell will die. Neighbors heard it, ministers heard it, even strangers who came to witness the haunting wrote down the same words. The witch didn't hide its intentions, it announced them to anyone who would listen. John Bell's health continued to collapse. His face swelled, his hands trembled, his tongue stiffened until he could barely speak. He staggered through his farm as though he were twice his age. Each time he stumbled, each time he coughed, the witch's voice would sneer, "You will not live much longer." Imagine hearing that day after day, night after night, not whispered in private, but shouted so your children and neighbors can hear it too. How long before you begin to believe it? The community grew divided. Some believed it truly was Kate Batts' spirit fulfilling a grudge from beyond the grave. Others insisted it was the devil himself. A few clung to the hope it was a trick, mass hysteria, imagination, or fraud. But the voice remained. And the Bell family could not escape it. By late 1820, John Bell's condition was so bad he could no longer leave his bed. His children watched him with fear in their eyes. Lucy sat by his side, praying as the voice mocked her husband with every breath. The voice promised the end was near. And on a cold December morning, that promise came true. December 1820. The Bell farm was silent, heavy with dread. John Bell, once a strong farmer, now lay weak in his bed, his body failing, his breath shallow. His children gathered around him. Lucy prayed softly, her hands clutching rosary beads. The children watched, terrified, knowing what the voice had promised. And the voice was not silent. As John struggled, the witch mocked. "He will not rise again. The end is here. John Bell is mine." Neighbors who came to help swore they heard the words clearly, echoing through the room, though no one's lips moved. Then, something even stranger. Beside John's bed, a small vial was discovered, a dark liquid inside. One of the sons tried to give it to the family dog. The dog died instantly. The voice shrieked in triumph, "I gave him that poison. I fixed his medicine. He is finished." Can you imagine? Standing over your father's bed, watching him fade away and hearing an invisible voice claim responsibility? On December 20th, 1820, John Bell died. The community was stunned. The haunting had gone beyond scratches, beyond whispers, beyond violence. It had crossed the line into death. At his funeral, as neighbors gathered in grief, the witch was not silent. Witnesses claimed the voice laughed loudly, mockingly throughout the service. It sang drinking songs. It jeered at the mourners.
The bells tried to pray, but their prayers were drowned out by cruel laughter. Think about that. A funeral, a grieving family, and a voice, unseen, unstoppable, mocking them all. For those who believed, this was proof. The witch had not only cursed John Bell, she had killed him. December 1820. The town of Adams, Tennessee, gathered to bury John Bell, husband, father, neighbor, farmer. His death shook the community. Some whispered it was illness. Others swore it was the Bell Witch's curse. But all agreed John Bell's life had ended under terrifying, unnatural circumstances. The family hoped for one day of peace, just one day where they could mourn without torment. But peace never came. As the coffin was lowered into the ground, the witch's laughter filled the air. Witnesses swore it wasn't faint or distant. It was loud, echoing across the cemetery, cruel and mocking. The voice sang drinking songs. It jeered at the mourners. The bells tried to pray, but their prayers were drowned out by cruel laughter. Think about that. A funeral, a grieving family, and a voice, unseen, unstoppable, mocking them all. For those who believed, this was proof. The witch had not only cursed John Bell, she had killed him. December 1820. The town of Adams, Tennessee, gathered to bury John Bell, husband, father, neighbor, farmer. His death shook the community. Some whispered it was illness. Others swore it was the Bell Witch's curse. But all agreed John Bell's life had ended under terrifying, unnatural circumstances. The family hoped for one day of peace, just one day where they could mourn without torment. But peace never came. As the coffin was lowered into the ground, the witch's laughter filled the air. Witnesses swore it wasn't faint or distant. It was loud, echoing across the cemetery, cruel and mocking. The voice sang drinking songs. It jeered at the mourners. The bells tried to pray, but their prayers were drowned out by cruel laughter. Think about that. A funeral, a grieving family, and a voice, unseen, unstoppable, mocking them all. For those who believed, this was proof. The witch had not only cursed John Bell, she had killed him.
December 1820. The town of Adams, Tennessee, gathered to bury John Bell, husband, father, neighbor, farmer. His death shook the community. Some whispered it was illness. Others swore it was the Bell Witch's curse. But all agreed John Bell's life had ended under terrifying, unnatural circumstances. The family hoped for one day of peace, just one day where they could mourn without torment. But peace never came. As the coffin was lowered into the ground, the witch's laughter filled the air. Witnesses swore it wasn't faint or distant. It was loud, echoing across the cemetery, cruel and mocking. The voice sang drinking songs. It shouted curses. It jeered at the grieving family as if celebrating its victory.
Imagine standing over your father's grave while an unseen voice sings in delight at his death. Some mourners broke down in fear. Others left the service entirely, unable to endure the sound. The witch had promised John Bell's death, and now it claimed credit, mocking him even in burial. The Bell family returned home in silence, their grief heavier than ever. Lucy prayed for strength. The children clung to her, afraid that the witch might not stop with their father. And in the nights that followed, the voice continued. It whispered to Betsy. It cursed at the boys. It mocked Lucy's prayers. Even after John Bell's death, the torment did not end. In fact, the witch promised something even more chilling. It would return. Some say the voice announced it would vanish, only to come back in 7 years. Others claimed it spoke of returning decades later. Whether those promises were real or not, one truth was certain. The Bell family's nightmare was far from over. Because when an unseen entity can predict death, mock at a funeral, and torment an entire town, can you ever really escape it?
John Bell was gone, but the Bell Witch was not finished. In the weeks after his funeral, the Bell home remained under siege. Betsy still woke to slaps and shrieks in the night. The boys still felt hands tugging at their hair, dragging their blankets across the floor. And Lucy, the grieving widow, prayed harder than ever, her voice steady, her faith unbroken. The witch continued to praise her, even as it cursed the rest of the family. Why Lucy was spared while her children suffered remains one of the great mysteries of the haunting. Then, just as suddenly as it had begun, the voice faded. Neighbors reported silence. The family slept without fear. Days turned into weeks, weeks into months, and the Bell Witch was gone. But not forever. Before its departure, the witch made a chilling promise. It would return. Some accounts say it promised to come back in 7 years. Others claim it vowed to reappear in 107 years, in the year 1935. And many in Adams, Tennessee, believed it kept its word. In 1828, Betsy Bell, now a young woman, was said to have encountered the witch again. The voice mocked her, taunted her, and then disappeared once more. In 1935, locals reported strange activity near the old Bell property, whispers in the wind, knocks on empty walls. The Bell Witch was not a ghost that haunted a single family. It was a legend that haunted an entire region. Today, people still visit Adams, Tennessee, searching for answers. Some swear they hear whispers in the caves near the old Bell farm. Others claim they feel hands brush their hair or hear mocking laughter when no one is there. The Bell Witch haunting was over, but its legacy was just beginning. Because this was not just a family tragedy. It was America's first great documented haunting, witnessed by neighbors, recorded in journals, and passed down for generations. And even now, 2 centuries later, the name Bell Witch
still sends shivers down the spine of anyone who dares to whisper it. The story of the Bell Witch did not die with John Bell. It spread from neighbor to neighbor, town to town, until it became a tale known across America. Farmers told it by firelight. Ministers warned their congregations about it. Travelers carried it down the dirt roads of Tennessee and soon across the young nation itself. The Bell Witch was more than just a ghost story. It was a documented event. Hundreds of people claimed to hear the voice with their own ears. Ministers recorded it. Neighbors swore it to oath. Even government officials spoke of visiting the Bell home. This was not rumor. This was testimony. In the 1800s, a book titled An Authenticated History of the Bell Witch was published, compiling eyewitness accounts and family stories. It cemented the Bell Witch not as folklore, but as recorded American history. From there, the legend only grew. In the 20th century, the Bell Witch was rediscovered. Writers, researchers, and paranormal investigators returned to Adams, Tennessee. They explored the caves near the old Bell farm, reporting strange noises, knocks, whispers, even laughter in the dark. Tourists came, daring one another to enter the Bell Witch cave. Some swear they left with scratches across their arms. Others claim their cameras and phones mysteriously failed inside. And in pop culture, the Bell Witch became a foundation for horror. Stories of unseen voices, violent hauntings, and cursed families echo through books, films, and documentaries. Even Hollywood drew from it. Without the Bell Witch, there might have never been the Amityville Horror. Without the Bell Witch, there might have never been the Blair Witch Project. This wasn't just the haunting of one family. It was the birth of a genre. 2 centuries later, the Bell Witch still lives, not in the flesh, but in whispers, warnings, and stories told in the dark. Some say she lingers in Adams. Some say she follows those who dare to speak her name. But whether you believe in spirits or not, one truth is undeniable. The Bell Witch has become one of the most terrifying and enduring legends in American history. More than 200 years have passed since the Bell family's torment. The farm is gone, the Bells are buried, but the legend of the Bell Witch refuses to die. In the quiet town of Adams, Tennessee, locals still whisper about her. Visitors claim that if you walk near the old Bell property, the air feels heavier, colder. Some say they've heard footsteps following them. Others swear they hear faint laughter echoing through the trees. And then there is the cave. The Bell Witch Cave, a shadowy, dank cavern near where the Bells once lived. Brave souls enter it, flashlights trembling in their hands. Many leave with stories they cannot explain, whispers in the darkness, rocks thrown from nowhere, strange photographs marked with streaks of light and shadow. Some insist the witch never left, that her spirit lives in the cave, waiting, watching. But maybe the Bell Witch is not bound to one place. Maybe she lives in the story itself, in the retelling, the fear, the belief. Because each time someone whispers her name, she is remembered. And each time we remember, she grows stronger. So what do we make of the Bell Witch today? Was she a spirit with unfinished business? The devil himself? Or just the fear of a community given a voice in the dark? No one can say for certain. But one thing is undeniable. The story of the Bell Witch has outlived its victims, its witnesses, and even the land where it began. It has become a part of American folklore, forever haunting the space between fact and legend. And maybe, just maybe, if you listen closely tonight as you sit in the silence of your own home, you'll hear it too. A scratch on the wall, a whisper in the dark, a laugh, low and cruel, carried by the wind. The Bell Witch, still here, still watching. If this story sent chills down your spine, don't forget to hit that like button. Share it with a friend who loves a good scare, and subscribe for more true horror stories from history. Your support keeps these dark tales alive. Do you believe the Bell Witch was real, or just America's greatest ghost story? Let us know what you think, if you dare.